Hello everyone, I'm Jyoti Chahal from Department of Zoology, Hindu Girls College, Sonipat. Today I will discuss with you all migration in birds. I will discuss this topic in two portions. In first portion, in today's lecture, I will discuss about types of migration in birds. So in migration of birds, this migration word is originated from a Latin word migrana, which means to travel. Migration word, it is given by Kalin, and if you have to define migration in birds, then it is a regular, periodic and two-way movement of a population of birds from a breeding or nesting place to a feeding or resting place and back. This back is very much important. Returning back is an important and crucial feature in migration of birds because they must return to the original point, starting point. So it is a seasonal movement of birds, which is periodic. That means it will always be recurred year after year. And it is a two-way movement. That means from one starting point to the destination point and from that destination to back to the starting point. So this is a crucial feature as there are periodic movements of locust swarms which are never called as migration of locust because they never return to the starting point. So returning back is an important feature of migration in birds. Migration is best developed in birds and it is a two-way movement. So one movement is termed as emigration, which means outward movement, outward from feeding ground to breeding ground. That means when bird move from their feeding ground to breeding ground for breeding, for mating. And the second movement is immigration. That means inward movement from breeding ground to back to the feeding ground. So these are two movements, emigration and immigration. Collectively, they will result in the migration of the birds. So combine these two, emigration plus immigration, that will be termed as migration. There are certain birds which are termed as resident birds. These are kind of the birds which will remain at one particular habitat throughout the year. That means they will never migrate. Such birds are termed as resident birds. So moving forward, there are certain different kinds of migration, out of which two are main: altitudinal migration and latitudinal migration. And other some minor forms are like seasonal migration, partial migration, total migration, longitudinal migration, diurnal migration, nocturnal migration, daily migration. We'll study about these one by one. Irregular migration, loop migration, nomadic migration, eruptive migration, dispersal migration, leapfrog migration, reverse migration, molt migration, and drift migration. So we'll discuss these one by one. So first is altitudinal or vertical migration. As the name suggests, it will be along the vertical parameter. That means from mountain top to valleys and back to the mountain. Mountain top to valley. Valley means high, you can say, at lower altitudes. So from lower to higher altitude, it will be performed during summer, and specifically it will be for breeding purposes. Generally, most of the bird, they breed during longer day time. That means during summer, and during summer time, birds will move from lower altitude to higher altitude. That means from a lower height to higher height. That means up to the hilltop, mountain top. That will be for breeding, and the hilltop will be their breeding site. Then another movement is from higher to lower altitude. It will be generally during the winter because temperature will fall below a certain level, which will be intolerable for birds. So it will be better for them to move to the downhill or foothill region. That means at a lower altitude for feeding, because there will be no food at higher altitude at the top of the hill when there will be snowfall. So it is better for the birds to move downward at the base of the hill. So that will be their feeding ground. So there are certain birds which show altitudinal or vertical migration, like violet green swallow, which is a common bird in Great Britain. Then the next is this willow ptarmigan, which is from Siberia, and grebes from Andes in Argentina, and coot again from Argentina. So these are some of the birds which show altitudinal or vertical migration. The next is latitudinal migration. As the name suggests, it will be migration by the birds along the latitude, and it is a type of migration which is shown by most of the birds, and it will be from north to south or vice versa, that means south to north and back. So now, as you know, there are two hemispheres on the earth which are divided by equator. So this red line, this denotes the equator, and above the equator, now here is the North Pole. Let me write it for you. Okay, so this is North Pole. This is North, and here is South, and here is East, and here is West. Okay, so now this is northern hemisphere, which is towards the north of the equator. Okay, this line is equator, and this lower portion, this is southern hemisphere. So the migration pattern of the birds along the latitude will be different in these two hemispheres. Generally, always, all the birds, they will breed or nest in the colder region of their migratory range. That means within a range, if a bird has to migrate from this northern pole towards this equator, then what will be the colder region of this migratory range? This one, northern pole. It will be colder. As you know, this is the polar region, and it is covered with ice, and definitely the temperature is lower on this side. So this will be generally the area which is towards this northern pole in northern hemisphere, that will be termed as the breeding or nesting range of the bird, and it will be opposite in the case of southern hemisphere. So here is Antarctic towards the south. So here will be temperature will be very much lesser, lower, and this will be the colder region. So in southern hemisphere, this region will be termed as the nesting or breeding range of the bird. Okay, so movement in two hemispheres will be opposite. Okay, it will be clear by the following example. Further, I'm telling you about this. So in northern hemisphere, this nesting or breeding grounds, which will be termed as summer quarters. Remember, the birds, they always breed during summer, during the longer day length time, which is in summer. So that will be the breeding ground, or the nesting ground will be near Arctic or temperate zone. Okay, now this northern hemisphere, it has been divided into several different zones. Near equator, there will be tropical, then subtropical, then is temperate zone, and finally there will be the polar region. So this polar region and this temperate zone, that will be much way much cooler than the temperate zone, sorry, tropical zone. So because of that, this region, this northern region, extreme northern region, the near Arctic and temperate zone, that will be the summer quarters for the bird, and that will be the nesting and breeding ground of the birds. And what will be the feeding or resting ground? That will be here near equator. That will be winter quarters for the bird, for the migratory bird, and which will act as a feeding and resting ground for the bird, because during winters here temperature will be much below the zero, that will be in minus, and that will not be easy for the bird to tolerate such low temperatures. So they will definitely migrate towards the equator. Here the area will be less cooler than the northern portion. So that's why so that's why they will move to the equator. So in northern hemispheres, bird will migrate to south during winter and to north during summer. But like you can see here as well in this example, many birds from Siberia, Siberian crane famously, they visit India during winter months. They will migrate from Siberia, which is in Russia, and you can see the range. From Russia, they will migrate up to India here. So India is towards the southern side of the Russia, and towards the equator. So India, it lies in subtemperate zone near the tropics, and Russia, it is in temperate zone. So that is much cooler. The temperature of Russia, whole country, is much lower than the India. So during winter months, these birds, they will migrate, Siberian crane, that will migrate from Russia to India towards the south, that means. And at the end of the winter, when summer months start commencing, then these birds, they will migrate back to the Russia. So in case of southern hemisphere, seasons are reversed. So birds will migrate northward in winter. That means they will migrate to north during winter months from southern pole. So here is southern pole. From here, they will migrate to north towards the equator and south in the summer. So when summer will start commencing, they will migrate back to the southern pole. So this is about latitudinal migration, how birds do latitudinal migration. Now we'll discuss some examples of latitudinal migration, some examples of the birds which shows latitudinal migration. So here are some of the birds. So this bird is Blythe's reed warbler. It breeds in Palearctic and easternmost Europe and Siberia, again the cooler portions. So that is the breeding or nesting ground of this bird. And it feeds during winter. That means during winter month, it will migrate to Bangladesh, India and Sri Lanka. So that will be its feeding ground. Also, this is greenish warbler, which breeds in temperate Asia and northeastern Europe and Siberia, again the cooler portion of the world, which is in the temperate zone in the northern hemisphere. And its feeding ground, that means during winter it will migrate to India. So that will be its feeding ground. Also, this bird is American golden plover, which breeds in high Arctic tundra of Alaska and Canada, okay, that are in North America. So, and it feeds in winters, during winter, in the grasslands of central and southern portions of South America, like Argentina. So that will be the feeding ground of this bird, American golden plover. So as you can see, all of these birds, these are showing that they breed in the colder region of their range, their migratory range. Also, this is Siberian crane, as I have told you earlier. This organism, this bird, it breeds in Siberia and it feeds during winter in Iran, India and China. So these are two maps which are showing migratory range of these two different birds. One is for Siberian crane and other is for American golden plover. So you can see the migratory range of a Siberian crane. It starts from Siberia, Russia. During the winter month, it will migrate up to, here is one branch, it goes to Iran. Another from Kazakhstan, and from Afghanistan and Pakistan, it will come to India. And there is one more branch which will go to China. So it will migrate to these three regions, Iran, Iraq, India and China, 3 or 4 regions. So it will spend the winter months in these countries which are towards the southern side in the northern hemisphere. So it will be the winter home of this bird, which will make the feeding ground. Okay, so India, China and Iran are the feeding ground of Siberian crane. And here is example of American golden plover. Now this red portion, it is showing the breeding range of this golden plover, which is Canada. This portion is Canada. So this Canadian portion is the breeding range of this bird. It will migrate from its breeding range to its feeding range. Now this yellow portion, it is showing non-breeding range, or you can say this is the feeding zone, feeding range of the bird, golden plover, and it will migrate following one route to the feeding ground, and it will follow another route and it will migrate back to its breeding range. Now this yellow portion, this is covering 3 different zones or regions of South America. Now this is South America and this is North America. So continents, 2 different continents. So in this South America, the region which is covered by this yellow portion, that is 3 different zones. One is Brazil, this is Brazil portion, and this lower one is Argentina. So some portion of Argentina, some portion of Brazil, and in between these two there is another portion which is Uruguay. So these 3 portions of 3 different countries are covered by this golden plover. So it will migrate. You can see that this is a latitudinal migration by this bird. Okay, so these two diagrams are showing a migratory range of these two different birds which migrate from one place to another during seasonal change from winter to summer and summer to winter, from their breeding ground to feeding ground, and from feeding ground to breeding ground back. So this is migration. So next is longitudinal migration. As the name suggests, migration of the birds along the longitude, that means from east to west or west to east. So here is a picture which is showing migration of some birds from the here starting point, which is 6 degree west, and from here these are migrating towards the east direction, and these black dots, these are the final destination points of these birds, these migratory species. So here you can see that these are migrating from 6 degree west to 6 degree east and 12 degree east and 18 degrees, 24 degrees and 30 degrees. So these are migrating towards east, and from here they will return back to the original starting point. So this is longitudinal migration, which is commonly shown by some starlings, and here is a picture of common starling, and they migrate, these starlings, they migrate from East Europe or Asia to Atlantic coast. So here in this map you see this orange portion is Europe and this grayish portion is Asia. So these starlings, they will migrate from Europe, east portion of Europe, that means this portion, from here to Atlantic coast. Okay, now this is Atlantic Ocean, so they will migrate to the coastal region here. So let me show you by some. Okay, so this is Eastern Europe and this is Asia. So from this region, these starlings, they will migrate longitudinally. Okay, so this is longitude, they are migrating like this up to the coastal region of the Atlantic coast. This is Atlantic Ocean, so they will migrate like this. So this is termed as longitudinal migration. Okay, as you know, this is equator, this line is equator. Okay, and this is latitude, and this horizontal line, it is representing longitude. Okay, I think that is clear now. So this was all about longitudinal migration. So moving forward, the next is total migration. As the name suggests, when all the members of a species living at a particular habitat will participate in the migration, and all together they will migrate. That means all the members will migrate to the new migration place. That will be termed as total migration. Partial migration, when only a few members of the species will participate in migration and some will remain at the same place. Some will migrate and some will remain at the same place. That will be termed as partial migration, which is shown by blue jays. This is blue jay, which is found in Canada, and it migrates southward. And song thrush, these are also showing partial migration. And white-winged snowfinch, they also show partial migration. The next is diurnal migration. As the name suggests, when the birds will migrate during daytime, that is termed as diurnal migration. Like swallows, they always migrate during daytime. Swift, this is swift. This bird is known to have a very fast flight, and a car has been named after this bird, Swift. And this shows a speed of 200 km per hour during flight. So that is a very fast speed. So this is Swift. Both of these pictures, this represents Swift. And Nighthawk, although the name of this bird is Nighthawk, but that is a diurnal migrant. That means it will migrate during daytime. Then raptors. Now what are raptors? Raptors are birds of prey. That means raptor word has been originated from a Latin word rapier, that means to seize or to plunder. That means forcefully to catch something. So that is the meaning of rapier, and from that word raptors has arose. So raptors are like eagles, hawks, kites, falcons and owls. So these are all raptors. Okay, these are termed as birds of prey. They rely on thermal convection currents for migration. That means for their flight, they have to rely upon thermal convection currents. That means heating of air because of sunlight, sun rays. So they can fly easily upon heated air. So they will catch on the thermal convection currents for their flight. So they always rely upon thermal convection currents for migration. So that's why they will always migrate during daytime, because during daytime there is sunlight, and because of that there will be heating of the air and there will be convection currents, and they can fly upon that. Okay, that's why they will always migrate during daytime. So these are diurnal migrants. The next is nocturnal migration. Many birds, they will migrate during night, they will fly during night. So those birds are termed as nocturnal migrants, like cuckoo, quail, flycatcher, like warblers, like vireos and orioles, and thrush, song thrush. Okay, so then next is daily migration. Some birds, they fly away from their nest in early morning and will return till evening. So such kind of migration is termed as daily migration. They will daily migrate up to a certain distance from their nest and will return back in the evening. Just like there are certain birds in our vicinity which will be observed daily, like crow and like manna. They will leave their nest in the morning and will return in the evening. So such migration is termed as daily migration. Then is irregular or vagrant migration. Some birds, they will move away from their habitat in all direction, in all possible direction, in search of food, and will return to their nest. So basically they move out for search of food, and they can move in every possible direction. So let me draw it for you here. Okay, so this is suppose nest of the bird, and it will be just like adaptive radiation. So okay, so from nest they can migrate in all direction for food, in search of food. So these arrows, these are depicting the migration of birds from their nest. So they can migrate up to all possible directions. So in all possible directions, so that is termed as irregular or vagrant migration, which is not, predetermined in which direction the bird will move. So such migration is shown by herons and like hurricane bird. An example of hurricane bird is Vire thrush. So that is a songbird. Why this is termed as hurricane bird? Because they can detect hurricane before it actually comes. Okay, so that is all about irregular or vagrant migration. The next is seasonal migration. When birds show migration in a particular season, that is termed as seasonal migration. Okay, so there are two kinds of birds, summer migrants and winter migrants. Summer migrants, which will migrate during summer months. So that kind of birds will be termed as summer migrants. Like they will arrive to north in spring. So here the examples which we are showing, they will arrive to the north, that means to the Great Britain, in spring, that means summer months. During summer month, they will arrive to north, and this talks about northern hemisphere specifically. And they will move back to south in autumn, as I have already explained during latitudinal migration. Okay, so these are termed as summer migrants. That means that inhabit they will inhabit the southern portion in the northern hemisphere, and during summer they will migrate to the colder region of the northern hemisphere, just like they will migrate to the north during summer region. Otherwise they will always remain in the south region. So such birds are like swallow, swift, and cuckoos. Then another are winter migrants. These are type of the birds which will migrate in winters. That means they arrive to south from north in winter. That means their permanent resident will be in the north, but whenever there will be winter, they will migrate to south. Okay, so permanent home is in north region, but during winter they will migrate to south for their feeding. Okay, to their feeding ground, and they will fly back to north in summer or spring. So such kind of migrants will be termed as winter migrant. That means they will move away from their home during winters, and summer migrants will move away from their home during summers. And depending upon in which hemisphere this activity is going on, they will migrate to either summer or north, as we have already explained. So winter migrants are snow bunting, redwing, and Siberian crane, as I have already explained, that these will migrate during winter. When there will be commencement of winter months in Siberia, they will migrate to India. That will be their winter home or feeding ground. Okay, so this was all about seasonal migration. The next is loop migration. As the name suggests, these birds, they will make a loop during their migration. Now migration is a two-way movement, so they will follow one course in one movement during emigration, and during immigration they will follow another route. So they will make a loop like structure. Okay, that's why the migration is termed as loop migration. So they always follow, birds which do loop migration, they will always follow annual circles. And this migration include two distinctly different routes, as I have told you, to and from the breeding ground. They will migrate to breeding ground through one route and will return to feeding ground through another route. So they will take advantage of varied resources at different times of year. So one such example is of Rufous hummingbird. This is the picture of hummingbird, Rufous hummingbird. And it will migrate from Alaska to Mexico. Alaska is the breeding range of the bird, and Mexico is the winter range or feeding range of the bird. So it will migrate from Alaska to Mexico following two different routes, and it will form a loop. Okay, so this yellowish zone, it is showing the migratory range of the bird, and this orangish zone, this is showing breeding range, which is Alaska, and this purple range is the winter range or feeding range of the bird, Rufous hummingbird, and this is winter region, winter zone of the bird. So this kind of migration, loop migration, is very much common in many seabirds and shorebirds, as they use seasonal variations to predict the wind patterns which will add in their flight. So when the wind will be at high speed, so that it can add up into their flight in their migration, so that will be beneficial for such birds. So they always detect where the wind is flowing at high speed, so that will add in their migration. So often they show such kind of migration. So here is the map which is showing the bird migration by hummingbirds, which I have told you earlier, Rufous hummingbird. So here from Alaska, which is the breeding ground of the bird, up to Mexico, which is feeding ground of the bird. So it will migrate whenever there will be fall, starting of fall, that means winter month. It will migrate following this course, as you can see here in this pink color zone, this pink color border region. You can see the arrow here, and here it is shown that this pink color is showing migration during fall. That means during winter month, this Rufous hummingbird, it will migrate from this region, from Alaska to Mexico, and route followed by this organism, this bird, will be this pink zone. Okay, so it will follow the inland route. That means it will fly over the land area and will reach to the Mexico. And from Mexico, when there will be end of winter month and spring will start commencing, that means initiation of the summer months, then it will migrate back to the breeding ground. And this yellow zone is shown it here. You can see this yellow zone, which is along the coastal region. Okay, along the coastal region, this yellow zone is shown here, which is showing its migration back to its breeding ground. So these are two different routes which are taken by this Rufous hummingbird, one during the emigration and one during the immigration. So this is showing loop migration. So this is loop migration by Rufous hummingbird. And here another map, in this another map between two continents, North America and South America, loop migration of American golden plover has been shown. Okay, so from this is region, and this is Canada. which is shown here in green color, which is the breeding range of golden plover. From Canada, it will migrate over the ocean. Okay, here is Atlantic Ocean, and from here it will move up to its feeding range. Okay, winter home. So this is, again, I have already told you about this, that this is a combination of 3 different places: Brazil, Argentina and Uruguay. So it will migrate here, and from inland zone it will migrate back to its breeding ground. So it is forming a loop like structure, which is shown here by dotted red color dots and arrows. So this is forming a loop for emigration and immigration. So this is termed as loop migration. So next is nomadic migration. Movement is very much less predictable in such kind of migration by birds. This migration can be erratic depending upon availability of food and water in the habitat, and birds can remain in the same general range, but they may be completely absent from the parts of that range when the resources are limited or scarce. Like if there is less availability of food and water in one particular area of that habitat, that means microhabitat, then they can migrate from that portion, and they can return whenever the resources will be abundant. So let me explain it with the help of a little diagram. Okay, suppose this is an area, this is an habitat, and in this particular habitat there is a small patch. Okay, this is microhabitat. In this particular region, in this small patch, there is very much less availability of water. Water is very much scarce in this habitat. So the birds which are present in this microhabitat, they have a tendency to migrate outward. Okay, while the birds which are present in this larger area where there is plenty of water, they will remain here only in this particular area. But the birds which are present in this microhabitat, they will migrate outward from this area. They can migrate to this adjacent area as well. Okay, so they can return whenever the resources will be abundant. That means whenever there will be proper ample supply of water, they can return back. So such kind of migration is termed as nomadic migration. So main cause for such migration is food and water. Okay, so there are certain organisms, certain birds which show such kind of migration, which is very much less predictable. You cannot predict it whether the bird will migrate or not. So examples are like black swan, like waxwings, like Phainopepla, like zebra finch. So these are the birds which show nomadic migration. The next is eruptive migration. This is also very unpredictable, but these are spectacular kind of migration which bring large number of birds into unusual areas, specifically during winters. And these are also in search of food and water. So this kind of migration is also caused by less supply or limited supply of food and water. So in search of food and water, birds will migrate to some unusual places, and that will be very much, exciting to see birds in such kind of places where they have never been observed in the past. So there are certain examples of birds which show eruptive migration, like these evening grosbeaks, like snowy owls, like crossbills, like redpoll, like varied thrush. So these are some examples which shows eruptive migration. Then is leapfrog migration. This is a unique pattern where a northern population will migrate a greater distance to skip over a sedentary population of the same species. Okay, let me draw an diagram for you. Okay, suppose, okay, this is northern hemisphere. So in this hemisphere, suppose here is habitat range or migratory range of a bird. Okay, this is migratory range along the latitude of a bird. Now in this whole range, one single species occupies this range. Now population from northern side, it will migrate a greater distance to skip over a sedentary population. This is population 1, and suppose this yellowish another population of the same species. Okay, so this red population, it will migrate, it will leap over this population. It will jump over this population towards the southern side, so that there will be no mixing of these populations. This yellow population and this red population, they will remain identical. They will they will remain separate. They will never mix up. They won't get mixed up. So these will keep their individuality separate. So this population, and they both belong to same species. Okay, so this population, it will jump over this yellow population towards their southern home, towards their feeding home, resting home during winter months. So such kind of migration is termed as leapfrog migration. So these population, they will keep off jumping each other. They will leap off each other. They will leap over another population. So year round, the range is occupied between breeding and feeding ground. Okay, so one population will jump over other, then another will jump over the previous one, and so that they will keep migrating towards their winter or summer homes, but they will never get mixed up. So such kind of migration is termed as leapfrog migration. Then next is reverse migration. It is seen during autumn or winter months whenever young birds, they get confused or disoriented, and that means they get lost, and because they are very much young, and instead of migrating along the expected route, they go in opposite direction. That means if they have to migrate towards south, they will migrate towards north, and that is by mistake only, because these are young and these are confused and disoriented. And usually this is not seen with large number of birds, only a few individuals they show reverse migration, and that is again by mistake. So this is seen only with few individuals. So only a few, 1 or 2 birds are seen doing this kind of migration, reverse migration. So that is mistake. Okay, mistake by bird. Then next is molt migration. This is a migration which is shown only for molting. That means a shedding of feathers. So the bird which show molt migration, that will leave an established range so that they can remain safe during their vulnerable or flightless time, when there is no feather on their body and they cannot fly. So they have to remain safe. So they will migrate to a safer place, and they will return to their original place whenever the molting will be complete. Okay, so such kind of migration is commonly seen in duck species. Majority of the duck species, they show molt migration, and this type of migration is not common in any other bird. So these are different kind of ducks which shows molt migration. Every species of duck shows molt migration. And then last is drift migration. Drift migration, as the name suggests, it is drifted. When the bird is drifted because of strong air currents, so that is termed as drift migration. That is very much rare, but it is highly anticipated. That means it can be predicted prior. Okay, so it is a anticipated event which many birders hope to see when they can, judge, because of the meteorological department, the speed of wind and air can be predetermined. So any birder can anticipate when they will be lucky enough to see drift migration in birds. So large number of migratory birds, they can be drifted away from their typical migratory routes because of strong air currents or storms. Okay, so this kind of storms and strong air currents, they will result in spectacular fallouts and rare bird sighting. So that is termed as drift migration. Then next are some very short answer type questions. Who gave the term migration? What is vagrant migration? Name some common diurnal migrants. What is loop migration? Name the birds which commonly show molt migration. Name any one famous winter migrant bird in India. Which kind of migrants rely on thermal convection currents for migration? Short answer type questions. Differentiate between latitudinal and longitudinal migration. Write a note on seasonal migration. What are nomadic and eruptive migration? Write a short note on bird migration types. Differentiate between diurnal and nocturnal migration. Thank you.